So I'm Miss Wilson. I'm the principal here at South Knox Elementary. We're very happy to have you here. Let's take a second to go around the table and introduce ourselves. So
I'm Liam's general education teacher. I'm Miss Harrell.
I'm Liam's special education teacher. I'm Mrs. Peters.
I'm Liam's speech pathologist, Markandisha.
Nice to meet you.
okay, so first we're going to start off by reading you the procedural safeguards.
Okay. So as described in the Indiana Department of Education Notice of Procedural Safeguards that I will offer to you, your rights are protected by law and I am required to provide you with information related to those protections. I will summarize a few key points, but I encourage you to read the entire written explanation. Free appropriate public education. Public schools in Indiana must make sure that a free and appropriate public education, including special education and related services, is available to individuals with disabilities. Individuals with disabilities are generally entitled to such an education from age 3 through the school year in which they turn 22 years of age. Least restrictive environment. Your child is entitled to be educated with non-disabled students to the maximum extent appropriate. Evaluations. You have protection in regard to the evaluation of your student as stated under the heading Evaluations in the written explanation of parent rights. If you disagree with the educational evaluation conducted by the school, you may request a meeting with the Director of Special Education to discuss any issues and what next steps should be taken. Case Conference Committee meetings. The Case Conference Committee is a group of individuals that includes you and school personnel. The CCC determines your child's eligibility for special education and, if eligible, develops your child's individualized education plan. Creating an IEP involves many considerations, including a child's placement and the need for related services. The CCC must meet at least annually, but you have the right to request a CCC meeting at any time if you believe a required component of the student's IEP needs to be changed to ensure a fit. Prior written notice and consent. The school must give you written notice before it proposes or refuses to initiate or change the identification, evaluation, special education placement, or provision of fee. If you revoke consent for special education and related services, your child is no longer treated as a student with a disability for purposes of special education. You cannot revoke consent for only some of the special education services. After you revoke consent, the school must provide you with written notice. Educational records and confidentiality. You may access, inspect, and review any educational records relating to your child according to the provisions stated under the confidentiality of and access to educational records section of the written explanation in the Indiana Department of Education Notice of Procedural Safeguards. The right to inspect and review includes the right to an explanation and interpretation of your student's record from school personnel. If you believe that information in your child's education record is inaccurate or violates your child's privacy, you may ask the school to amend the record. Parental consent must be obtained before any personally identifiable information about your child may be 1. Released to any person not otherwise entitled under Family Education Rights and Privacy Act to have access to it, or 2. Used for any purpose other than meeting requirements of the Individuals with Disability Education Act. The school may be required or permitted to disclose educational records to others, such as to a new school that student will be attending or to law enforcement authorities under certain circumstances. Disciplinary actions. A student with a disability is subject to the same disciplinary action for violating school rules as any other student. However, the school must follow specific procedures outlined in the Students with Disabilities and Disciplinary Action section in the Indiana Department of Education Notice of Procedural Safeguards if the student is suspended for more than 10 school days. A student who has not yet been determined eligible for special education may be entitled to the above protections under certain circumstances. This is further explained in the Protections for Students Not Yet Eligible section in the Indiana Department of Education Notice of Procedural Safeguards. Complaints, mediation, and due process. If you believe that the school is not complying with one or more procedural requirements, you may file a written signed complaint with the Indiana Department of Education, Division of Special Education, also known as the Center of Exceptional Learners Office of Special Education. The complaint process, including how you can file a complaint, is discussed in the section of the Indiana Department of Education Notice of Procedural Safeguards titled Complaints. If you disagree with the school regarding the identification, evaluation, placement services, or the provision of a FAPE to your child, mediation is available to resolve the disagreement. Participating in mediation is voluntary for both you and the school. The mediation process, including how you can request mediation, is discussed in the section of the Indiana Department of Education Notice of Procedural Safeguards titled Mediation. You may also request a due process hearing to resolve a dispute between you and the school regarding your child's ability, identification, and eligibility, the appropriateness of an evaluation or proposed or current placement and services, or any other dispute involving the provision of a FAPE. When your child turns 18, these rights transfer to him/her. At this time, I would like to offer you a copy of the written notification of the Indiana Department of Education Notice of Procedural Safeguards. If you have any questions, please ask me. You may also contact the Indiana Department of Education about Special Kids, Indiana Resource Center for Families with Special Needs, or Indiana Protection and Advocacy Commission if you need help in understanding the notice. There's that for you.
Thank you.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and give you this IEP that we're gonna look over.
So at this time, I'd like to ask if there's any input that you'd like to give before we get started on the present levels.
No.
Okie dokie, so, looking at Liam's present levels of academic and functional performance, for early reading skills development, he's currently developing phonological awareness and early reading skills. He's progressed from 40% to 70% phonological awareness, showing improvement in consonant, vowel, consonant, or CVC blending and segmenting. He struggles with consistent word recognition, decoding simple words, and applying phonetic principles to reading tasks. His current performance indicates challenges in foundational reading skills necessary for first grade reading development. His decoding difficulties significantly impact his ability to fully participate in first grade reading instruction. When reading grade level text, he requires substantial additional support, often struggling to sound out words independently. This challenges his ability to comprehend written instructions, complete independent reading tasks, and engage with grade level content across subject areas. His slower decoding process interrupts the flow of reading, making it difficult to maintain comprehension and participate in whole class reading activities. As a result, Liam may become frustrated or disengaged during reading-based learning experiences, which can limit his access to the general education curriculum. For reading fluency, we have not looked over that yet, but we plan to do that today with you. For math, reasoning, number sense, his current performance is that he demonstrates developing mathematical reasoning skills with consistent growth and single-digit addition. His initial mathematical performance was 50% accuracy in the fall, progressing to 80% by spring. He shows particular strength when using manipulatives and responds well to concrete learning approaches. However, he continues to need support in transferring computational skills from manipulative-based learning to abstract mathematical reasoning. Liam's mathematical performance creates challenges in fully accessing first grade mathematics instruction, but he does show consistent growth and responds well to manipulative-based learning. For written expression, his current performance is that he's demonstrating developing fine motor skills and writing capabilities. His initial writing performance showed 4 out of 8 legible words in the fall, progressing to 8 out of 10 legible words by spring. He experiences significant fatigue during writing tasks, struggles with consistent letter formation, and requires frequent breaks. His fine motor skills impact his ability to complete writing assignments efficiently and with appropriate legibility. Liam's writing challenges significantly affect his ability to fully participate in first grade writing and academic tasks. His quick fatigue and limited writing endurance creates barriers to completing written assignments, taking notes, and engaging in independent writing activities. Mr. Deschamps?
Liam demonstrates developing expressive language skills with steady progress in sentence construction and vocabulary. His initial expressive CELF scale score was 6 in the fall, progressing to 8 in the spring. He expresses challenges in constructing complete sentences using appropriate grammatical structures and expressing complex thoughts. Liam often struggles to verbalize his ideas clearly and requires additional support to communicate effectively in classroom settings. He will need related services in order to meet the goal. Liam's limited expressive language skills create significant challenges in the classroom, communication, and academic participation. His difficulty in constructing complete sentences makes it difficult to clearly communicate academic thoughts and ideas during classroom discussions. When given multi-step verbal instructions, Liam struggles to comprehend and respond appropriately, which impacts his ability to follow classroom routines and complete assessments independently. These language challenges limit his capacity to engage effectively with peers and participate fully in social and academic instructions, potentially creating barriers to his overall learning experience in the general education curriculum.
Should we go back to the reading fluency current performance while we're already there?
I think that'd be good.
Okay.
Do you have that data with you?
I do, right? So if you flip one page over, there's that data. So as you can see, in the fall, we were at 12 word count per minute, which is 75%. And in the winter, we were at 25, and in the spring, we were at 38. So we would really like to get him up to 60 words per minute. And so I think an appropriate current performance would be to say that Liam currently demonstrates developing reading fluency skills. His initial reading fluency was 12 words correct per minute with 75% accuracy in the fall. And by the spring, he has progressed to the 38 with 88% accuracy. However, he remains below the first grade benchmark of 60 word counts per minute with 95% accuracy. And he does struggle with consistent decoding, word recognition, and maintaining reading momentum. This does impact his general education curriculum. Do you want to say how this is impacting your class?
Liam's reading fluency challenges significant effects on his ability to engage with first grade reading instruction. His slower reading rate and lower accuracy interrupts comprehension and makes it difficult to complete reading tasks independently. When reading grade level text, Liam often struggles to maintain a smoother reading pace, which impacts his understanding of the material. These difficulties can create barriers to participating with the whole class reading activities, and it makes it hard to follow written instructions and access content across subject areas. And as a result, Liam may require additional teacher support, repeated readings, or modified reading materials just to effectively access the general education curriculum.
Have you noticed any of this at home?
Yeah, I noticed that he doesn't have time sounding out words and expressing himself with written language.
Okay, so do you agree that probably would impact his general ed curriculum? Okay,
Yes.
all right. Do you have any objections before we move forward?
Nope.
Okay.
Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the goals and objectives.
Alright, so once again, the goal is early reading skills development. So his present level, Liam demonstrates developing phonological awareness and early reading skills. He has progressed from 40% to 70% phonological awareness, showing improvement in consonant, vowel, consonant, blending, and segmenting. He struggles with consistent word recognition, decoding simple words, and applying phonetic principles to reading tasks. His current performance indicates challenges in foundational reading skills necessary for first grade reading development. So the standards aligned to this goal are demonstrate understanding of the organization and basic features of print, demonstrate understanding of spoken words, syllables, and sounds, know and apply grade level phonics and word analysis skills in decoding words, know the spelling sound correspondences for common consonant digraphs, and decode regularly spelled one-syllable words. Specially designed instruction would be explicit phonics instruction, multi-sensory reading strategies, targeted phonological awareness interventions, systematic decoding skill development, word family exploration, phoneme manipulation activities, sound symbol relationship reinforcement, and decodable text practice. For the service level, small group reading intervention, individualized phonics support, integrated classroom reading strategies, and weekly targeted early reading skills instruction. So the goal here would be by the end of the IEP year, Liam will correctly identify 170 CVC words, demonstrating mastery of consonant, vowel, consonant, blending, and segmenting, and increase his ability to decode simple one-syllable words with 85% accuracy, achieving mastery in 4 out of 5 trials during each quarterly assessment. This goal has been written to support education and training, and the method for measuring progress will be phonological awareness assessments, decoding skill probes, phonics-based reading assessments, word recognition checks, sound symbol correspondence evaluations, decodable text reading samples. And the progress monitoring method is quarterly assessment, well, I'll let you get there first.
Yeah, you're fine.
Quarterly assessment of WCPM and accuracy, periodic phonological awareness percentage tracking, documentation of reading strategy acquisition, and analysis of reading level progression. Okay. And this is proposed 10/24/25, and the annual review date will be 11/24/26. The subject or the progress monitoring assessment will be phonological awareness assessments. It's going to be collected quarterly, and the initial date was 10/24/25. The target date 11/24/26. Are you ready to move on to the next goal? Okay. So this goal title is reading fluency. The present level, Liam currently demonstrates developing reading fluency skills. His initial reading fluency was 12 words correct per minute with 75% accuracy in the fall. By spring, he has progressed to 38 word count per minute with 88% accuracy. However, he remains below the first grade benchmark of 60 WCPM with 95% accuracy. Liam struggles with consistent decoding, word recognition, and maintaining reading momentum. So the standards that align to this goal are read with sufficient accuracy and fluency to support comprehension, know and apply grade level phonics and word analysis skills in decoding words, and demonstrate understanding of spoken words, syllables, and sounds. The specifically designed instruction is explicit phonics instruction, guided repeated reading strategies, multisensory decoding techniques, systematic word family practice, scaffolded reading support, and comprehension-focused fluency development. The service level is small group reading intervention, individualized reading support, integrated classroom reading strategies, and weekly targeted fluency instruction. So the goal statement is by the annual review, Liam will read 60 word count per minute with 95% accuracy as documented through Dibble's next benchmark assessment and weekly running records, meeting the target fluency in 3 out of 4 consecutive weekly trials each quarter. And this goal has been written to support his education and training, and the methods for measuring progress are the Dibble's next benchmark assessments, weekly running records, curriculum-based reading fluency probes, oral reading fluency assessments, and progress monitoring reading charts. And then our progress monitoring method is quarterly comprehensive fluency assessments, weekly WCPM tracking, documentation of reading strategy acquisition, analysis of decoding skill progression, and comparison of reading accuracy and speed. And once again, this was proposed 10/24/25. The review date is 11/24/26. And then progress monitoring assessment is Dibble's next benchmark assessments and weekly running records. And we're gonna collect this quarterly. What do you think of this school? Do you think this is okay with his present levels?
Yep.
Okay, you don't have any objections? Okay, are you okay to move on? Alright. Alright, so the next goal title is Math Reasoning Number Sense. So his present level, Liam demonstrates developing mathematical reasoning skills with consistent growth in single-digit addition. His initial mathematical performance was 50% accuracy in the fall, progressing to 80% accuracy by the spring. He shows particular strength when using manipulatives and responds well to concrete learning approaches. However, he continues to need support in transferring computational skills from manipulative-based learning to abstract mathematical reasoning. The standards that are going to be aligned to this goal are use addition and subtraction within 20 to solve word problems, add and subtract within 20, demonstrating fluency for addition and subtraction within 10, and reason abstractly and quantitatively, and model with mathematics. The specifically designed instruction is concrete representational abstract math learning approach, explicit instruction in number sense, visual representation of mathematical concepts, systematic problem solving strategy development, manipulative based learning experiences, and scaffolded mathematical reasoning activities. The service level is small group math intervention, targeted math skill development, integrated classroom math support, and weekly individualized math reasoning instruction. So our goal statement for this one would be, by the next annual review, Liam will be able to calculate single-digit addition and increase his ability to solve 90% of single-digit addition problems, demonstrating consistent performance with and without manipulatives, correctly solving addition problems in 4 out of 5 trials. And this goal has been written to support the education and training. And the method for measuring progress will be quarterly math skill assessments, curriculum-based math computation probes, performance-based mathematical reasoning tasks, observation of mathematical strategy use, manipulative and non-manipulative assessment comparisons. And then progress monitoring method would be the monthly tracking of addition accuracy, documentation of mathematical strategy acquisition, analysis of problem-solving approaches, comparison of performance with and without manipulative supports, and qualitative assessment of mathematical reasoning. And once again, this was proposed 10/24/25. The annual review date is 11/24/2026. And our progress monitoring assessment is math skills assessments and addition accuracy probes. And we will collect this quarterly. Are you okay with this goal?
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready to move on?
Yep.
Alright. The next goal,
That should be me.
you're right.
This goal title is Speech Expressive Language. His present level, Liam demonstrates developing expressive language skills with steady progress in sentence construction and vocabulary. His initial expressive CELF scaled score was 6 in the fall, progressing to 8 in the spring. He experiences challenges in constructing complete sentences, using appropriate grammatical structure, and expressing complex thoughts. Liam often struggles to verbalize his ideas clearly and requires additional support to communicate effectively in the classroom setting. He will need related services in order to meet his goal. The standards for this goal is demonstrate command of conventions of standard English grammar and usage when writing or speaking. Participate in collaborative conversations with diverse partners about grade 1 topics and text with peers and adults in small and larger groups. Use words and phrases acquired through conversations, reading and being read to, and respond to text. And finally, following agreed upon rules for discussions. The specifically designed instruction is explicit language instruction, sentence construction strategy development, vocabulary expansion activities, social communication skill building, pragmatic language intervention, visual communication supports, structured conversation practice, narrative language development. His service level is individual speech and language therapy, small group communication skills training, integrated classroom language support, and weekly targeted expressive language intervention. And the goal statement is, by the annual review, Liam will implement expressive language skills in the classroom and increase his ability to implement expressive language to a CELF scale score of 10, demonstrating improved ability to construct 4 out of 5 language grammatically correct sentences with 85% accuracy in structured language activities, producing correct sentences in 3 out of 5 opportunities. And the goal has been written to support his education and training. The method for measuring his progress will be CELF standardized assessment, language sample analysis, classroom communication observations, structured language activity assessments, narrative language sampling, vocabulary and grammar probes. The progress monitoring method will be quarterly CELF scaled score tracking, documentation of sentence complexity, analysis of grammatical accuracy, comparison of communication skills across different settings, tracking of vocabulary acquisition, monitoring of pragmatic language skill development. And this is proposed the 10/25, so October 24th, and the annual review date is November 24th of 2026. The progress monitoring assessment is the CELF scaled score and structured language activity, and it will be collected quarterly.
Sounds good.
So we're okay to move on?
Yeah.
Alright, and so the next goal is written expression. His present level, Liam demonstrates developing fine motor skills and writing capabilities. His initial writing performance showed 4 out of 8 legible words in the fall, progressing to 8 out of 10 legible words by spring. He experiences significant fatigue during writing tasks, struggles with consistent letter formation, and requires frequent breaks. His fine motor skills impact his ability to complete writing assignments efficiently and with appropriate legibility. So the standards that align to this goal are use conventional spelling for words with known spelling patterns, write opinion pieces in which they introduce the topic or name the book they are writing about, state an opinion, supply a reason for opinion, and provide some sense of closure, write narratives in which they recount 2 or more appropriately sequenced events, include some details regarding what happened, use temporal words to signal event order, and provide some sense of closure. Specifically designed instruction, fine motor skill development activities, handwriting technique instruction, adaptive writing tool utilization, sensory motor integration exercises, grip and pencil control strategies, visual motor coordination activities, assistive technology introduction, and ergonomic writing support techniques. Service level, occupational therapy support, small group fine motor skills intervention, individualized writing support, integrated classroom writing strategies, and weekly targeted fine motor development. So our goal statement is, by the next annual goal review, Liam will implement his writing endurance and legibility to 10 out of 10 legible words per writing task. reducing fatigue, and improving letter formation, achieving at least 90% accuracy or 9 out of 10 words legible, and 3 out of 4 writing tasks. And this goal has been written to support education and training. The method for measuring this progress will be quarterly writing samples analysis, occupational therapy progress tracking, fine motor skill assessment tools, writing endurance measurements, letter formation accuracy checks, and fatigue level documentation. And the progress monitoring method is monthly writing legibility assessments, documentation of writing task completion time, tracking of letter formation consistency, analysis of pencil grip and writing posture, comparison of writing samples across different contexts, and monitoring of student comfort and reduced fatigue during writing tasks. And this was proposed again 10/24 of 25. The review date is 11/24 of 26. And the progress monitoring assessment is writing samples and occupational therapy progress monitoring, and this will be collected quarterly. I would like to flip back, if we could, to his behavioral concerns, if we could. Did you have any concerns with any of those goals?
No.
Okay, just making sure. Is everyone there?
Yes.
Okay. So when, one second. Just making sure. Okay. So when engaged in writing tasks, Liam demonstrates noticeable physical and emotional challenges that impact his learning. An observer would see him becoming visibly fatigued with decreased fine motor control and potential signs of frustration as he struggles to complete writing assignments. During complex language communication activities, Liam may hesitate, show reluctance, or appear uncomfortable when asked to verbally express his thoughts or complete detailed language tasks. These behaviors primarily occur during writing activities, language-based tasks, and situations requiring sustained verbal or written communication. Conversely, Liam does not exhibit these challenges during activities he finds engaging, such as songs, read-alouds, math with manipulatives, or following established classroom routines with clear visual cues. When struggling, Liam might display physical signs of discomfort, such as slumping, reduced writing effort, or minimal verbal participation. His body language and engagement level noticeably shift between activities that feel challenging versus those that provide him with supportive learning strategies. While these behaviors do not significantly disrupt classroom learning, they indicate a need for targeted support in classroom and writing skill development. So does the pattern of student behavior impede his or learning development of others? No, Liam's behavior does not significantly impede his or others' learning behaviors because he does demonstrate consistent academic progress and responds positively to structured learning environments. While he experiences challenges with writing and language tasks, these difficulties do not manifest as destructive behaviors that would interrupt classroom instruction or impact his peers' learning. Liam shows enthusiasm during engaging activities, follows classroom routines effectively, and continues to make steady improvements across academic domains. His learning needs are primarily related to targeted educational support rather than behavioral interventions that would require extensive classroom management. The IEP team's observations indicate that with appropriate supports and interventions, Liam can effectively participate in general education curriculum without creating significant disruptions to his own or others' students' learning experiences.
Okay, let's go to the least restricted environment section with service times. Which that is page 20, near the bottom.
So for early reading skills development, explicit multisensory phonics instruction focused on developing phonological awareness, blending, segmenting, and decoding foundational reading skills. We are proposing that he gets 30 minutes a day of instruction, 3 days a week for 90 minutes. His accommodations would be 5 minutes a day, 3 days a week for 15 minutes. Data collection would be 5 minutes a day, 1 day a week for 5 minutes, and total of weekly minutes per week would be 110. Does that sound all right? Okay. So moving on to reading fluency, we are proposing that he has guided repeating reading and fluency practice to improve reading rate, accuracy, and comprehension for grade level text. For instruction, 12 minutes a day for 2 days a week for 24 minutes. The accommodations would be 5 minutes a day, 2 days a week for 10 minutes. And data collection would be 15 minutes a day, 2 days a week for 30 minutes. Total of weekly minutes per week would be 64 minutes.
And that and the last one will be in the resource room.
Sounds good.
Okay. So for math, reasoning, and number sense, small group instruction using manipulatives and concrete strategies to build number sense and improve single digit addition skills. This will be in the general ed room, and we're proposing that the instruction is 20 minutes a day, 4 days a week for 80 minutes. His accommodations would be 5 minutes a day for 1 day a week for 5 minutes. The data collection's 20 minutes a day, 1 day a week for 20 minutes. And the total of weekly minutes per week is 105. Does that sound okay with you? All right. Moving on to written expression. So targeted instruction to enhance writing ability or legibility, increase writing stamina, improve letter formation, and reduce fatigue during writing tasks. This would also be in a general ed setting. And we're proposing that the instruction is 10 minutes a day, 3 days a week, and for 30 minutes, and the accommodations would be 5 minutes a day, 3 days a week for 15 minutes. Data collection would be 15 minutes a day, 2 days a week for 30 minutes, and the total of weekly minutes per week would be 75. You okay with that?
Yep.
All right, moving on. Would you like to take this one?
For his speech and expressive language, the goal is to targeted instruction to enhance writing legibility, increase writing stamina, improve letter formation, and reduce fatigue during writing tasks. During the instruction, it will be 10 minutes a day, this will be in the speech classroom. The instruction will be 10 minutes a day, 2 days a week for 20 minutes, the total. His accommodations will be 5 minutes a day, once a week for a total of 5 minutes. For data collection, it will be 10 minutes collected 2 times a week for a total of 20 minutes. And this will be a total weekly minutes of 60.
Okay.
Okay, so do you have any input that you'd like to offer?
Think you guys are doing a great job keeping my child's best interest at heart.
Thank you.
I love you guys.
Really appreciate it.
It's a joy to have him in our school.
I love hearing that.
He really
Learns
is a
mom's
great
heart.
student. Always brings a smile to my face.
He's got a sense of humor, that kid.
Oh, yes. Yes. Could we also skip back to the accommodation section?
Okay. Do you have a page number for
Yep,
that?
give me 1 second. I'm scrolling here. Right here. Okay. It looks like page 10. Is everybody there?
Yes.
All right. So for instructional accommodations, we would like to provide additional visual supports and graphic organizers during reading and writing tasks, allow use of manipulatives for math instruction, break complex instructions into smaller manageable steps, provide extra time for writing and language-based assignments. For communication accommodations, we would like to use visual cues and sentence starters to support expressive language, allow alternative methods of demonstrating knowledge, verbal versus written, provide frequent verbal feedback and encouragement, and use multisensory instruction approaches. For writing and fine motor support, we'd like to provide modified writing tools, such as pencil grips and specialized writing utensils. We'd like to allow frequent breaks every 10 minutes during writing tasks, reduce writing load when possible, and use assistive technology for writing tasks. For reading accommodations, we would like to provide text as appropriate reading level, allow use of reading supports such as tracking tools and reading guides, provide additional time for reading tasks, 15 minutes, and use repeated reading strategies. Liam will participate in state assessments with accommodations listed above, and no alternative assessment will be required. For assessment accommodations, the testing environment, we're gonna provide a quiet, separate testing area with minimal distractions, and we're gonna allow frequent breaks during assessments, 5-minute breaks every 15 minutes. And for the test administration, we're going to retest directions and questions aloud, allow verbal responses for written assessments, and provide extended time for test completion, 15 minutes. The response format, we're going to allow use of assistive technology for writing, permit circling or pointing to answers instead of writing, and provide additional space for written responses. For the content presentation, we're just going to simplify language of test instructions and break down complex test items into smaller steps. And specific disability related accommodations, we're gonna allow use of manipulatives for math assessments, and we're gonna provide additional time for processing language-based, 15. And the assessment appropriateness for Liam, so the standard first grade assessments are appropriate for Liam because he demonstrates consistent progress and growth across academic domains despite being below benchmark in some areas. While Liam has a developmental delay in language and early literacy, he does not require a completely alternate assessment. So the standard assessments remain appropriate because he's making the steady progress in reading fluency, he shows improvement in phonological awareness, his expressive language skills are developing, he can access curriculum content with appropriate accommodations, and he demonstrates the ability to learn and progress in general education settings. The proposed accommodations will support Liam in accessing and demonstrating his knowledge through standard assessments by providing additional time, offering alternative response formats, supporting his language processing needs, reducing test anxiety, and allow multiple ways to demonstrate. So our plan for participation in district-wide, national, or international assessments, Liam will participate in standard first grade assessments with the following supportive strategies. So state mandated assessments, so utilize approved accommodations, provide extended testing time, 30 minutes, allow verbal response options, use simplified test language, and permit breaks as needed, every 15 minutes a 5-minute break. For district benchmark assessments, we're gonna administer in a quiet, low stimulation environment, use visual supports and clear instructions, allow use of manipulatives for math-related tasks, monitor fatigue, and provide rest periods. For progress monitoring assessments, we're going to use multimodal assessment techniques, allow alternative response formats, break assessments into shorter sessions, and provide visual and verbal scaffolding. For standardized achievement tests, we're going to implement all approved classroom accommodations, ensure test administrators are familiar with Liam's specific learning needs, use assistive technology as appropriate, and maintain consistent supportive testing environment. Does that sound okay to everyone? Okay.
Alright, let's go back down to page 25 and talk about the least restrictive environment for Liam.
know, should we go over our rationale before, or do you wanna do that after? For the, providing services and supports?
Let's go ahead and read it now.
Okay. Are you ready?
It's right above the least.
Yeah.
Okay. So Liam demonstrates significant needs in early reading skills, reading fluency, math, reasoning, expressive language, and written expression, which impact his ability to access the general education curriculum independently. The specially designed instruction and related services provided are tailored to address these areas by targeting foundational skills through explicit multisensory and scaffolded approaches that align with his strengths and challenges. The use of small group interventions, assistive technology, and accommodations such as visual supports and breaks during writing tasks are essential to reduce this fatigue, improve engagement, and promote skill acquisition. These supports are necessary to bridge the gap between Liam's current performance and grade level expectations. Other options, such as solely relying on general education supports without specialized instruction or reducing academic expectations without targeted interventions, were rejected because they do not adequately address Liam's specific learning delays. Without these services, Liam would continue to struggle with decoding fluent reading, math, reasoning, expressive language, and writing endurance, limiting his educational progress and participation. The selected combination of services and accommodations ensures Liam receives a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment, maximizing his potential for growth and academic success. Okay, we ready to move on to the least restrictive environment?
We are.
Alright. So the proposed accommodations ensure Liam receives a free appropriate public education by providing individualized specialized support in the least restrictive environment, which allows him to access the general education curriculum with targeted intervention that addresses his specific learning needs while maintaining maximum integration with his non-disabled peers. The reasons for the placement determinations, including the other options considered and the reasons these options were rejected. So Liam's placement in a setting that provides specialized instruction with integrated support in the general education classroom was determined to best meet his educational needs. This decision ensures he has access to the general curriculum alongside his peers while receiving the targeted interventions necessary for his developmental delay in language and early literacy, math, reasoning, expressive language, and written expression. Other placement options, such as full-time special education classrooms or more restrictive settings, were considered but rejected because Liam benefits from and demonstrates progress with inclusive practices that combine small group interventions and related services within the general education environment. Restrictive placements would limit his opportunities for social interaction, peer modeling, and access to grade level content. Conversely, solely general education placement without specialized supports was rejected due to Liam's significant skill gaps and need for explicit multisensory instruction and accommodations that cannot be fully met in a typical classroom setting without support. This placement balances providing Liam with a least restrictive environment while ensuring he receives the specially designed instruction and related services critical for his academic growth and engagement.
Okay, well, that concludes the IEP. Do you have any questions or objections?
Nope. That sounds good.
So now we will ask for your consent to implement this IEP for the upcoming year. So we'll pass that around and have the signature.
Okay.
I believe there's a table on the back page to sign.
Oh.
Gotta make sure that pen works, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was doing there.
forward to, helping improve your son's education and see how the next year goes.
Sounds good.